If you haven't seen this, Donald Trump and his administration is going to war with the credit bureaus.
In following President Trump's executive orders to lower housing costs inconsistent with the law, we are ensuring there is a truly competitive market with credit bureaus. This includes not just the price, but also we want to ensure that the bureaus are acting as true competitors of each other, which was interesting. Then he followed up and said, oh, one more thing. I'd encourage the companies to operate above board and not engage in any improper collusion as we seek to help the American consumer. That was a little bit more of a shot across the bow.
Trump and his administration is now threatening to end the dominance of FICO.
These are the credit score people. There's only one company in America who basically does those FICO scores. And what they charge to consumers is outrageous, and it goes up every year. And most of the time, you don't know about it till you get billed.
Hawley says FICO has abused its government-granted market power.
In this video, I'm going to explain what is going on and what is the root cause of him and the FICO and credit bureaus going to war, and why this is a really good situation for you if he ends the dominance of the FICO score. And we're going to jump into it in this video. Now, if you're new to this channel is designed to help you no matter where you are in your credit journey and how to leverage your credit to make money. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you go to my website, you can download this free hard inquiry removal package. All these links are in the description of the video and in the pinned comment section.
Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley has again called on the Justice Department to investigate FICO.
I think that the rates that the credit card companies are charging are absolutely outrageous.
Even before the Senate debate Fox 2 hosted in November, Senator Josh Hawley wanted more accountability in the financial services industry. Now, in his second Senate term, he's again taking aim at the Fair Isaac Corporation, or FICO. This month, Hawley sent this letter asking the Department of Justice to investigate FICO, alleging anti-competitive practices and repeated price hikes. Hawley told the DOJ, FICO enjoys a sweetheart deal from the federal government wherein its credit scores are required for loans originated with multiple government entities. Hawley says FICO has abused its government-granted market power.
Now, FICO stands for Fair Isaac Corporation. This is a scoring model, but it is not the only scoring model. You do have Vantage scores, but most lenders actually use FICO scores and they dominate in the industry. So this is the model that lenders take and even the credit bureaus use. And with these scoring models, you may have different type of models that roll out. So you might see FICO 8. Then they might even have a FICO mortgage score. And so with FICO mortgage scores, you might see a 2, a 4, or a 5 scoring model. And you have different scoring models with FICO that's updated, like a FICO 9 or a FICO 10. So you have different versions of those scoring models along with Vantage scores. You might see a Vantage 3.0 and now a Vantage 4.0. So these are updated models. So think about your Apple iPhone where they have ISO updates. So it might be an update for ISO 11, ISO 12. That is also how these models operate. But the problem is FICO is the dominant model and they got a monopoly on most of the industry. And so this is really concerning.
Some bank runs your FICO score, you got to pay for it. You go to buy a car, the car dealer runs your FICO score, you got to pay for it. You get charged, the charges go up and up and up, and nobody can afford it. And nobody is given any option to opt out of it or have a competitor do it instead.
We asked FICO about these allegations. The company responded with a statement that reads in part, the FICO score has long been freely chosen by lenders, investors, and other participants across consumer credit markets because it is trusted as the most predictive and reliable credit score, enabling lenders to fairly expand credit access to American consumers. Success of the FICO score isn't due to government action in the mortgage market. Approximately 99% of FICO scores used for decisioning across the consumer credit industry are used outside mortgage origination.
Now, one of the concerns is since the federal government uses the FICO score for the benchmark for mortgages and other different federal loans, like even SBA loans, then you have the rest of the industry because of its power with government and government contracts using FICO as a benchmark. And so they have a dominance because of the approval with the federal government. That makes them actually have a more serious reputation. So with FICO, they've been demanding what they want to charge for these scores and charging different banks, government agencies, me and you, everybody, and they pretty much have a capital on the market and can demand whatever price that they require by the backing of the federal government. So this is creating a monopoly and not a fair playing field.
This needs to stop. I'd ask for an investigation into their anti-competitive practices. I just think this is a basic protection of American consumers and Missouri consumers. We are getting ripped off here by these people, and it needs to stop.
Now, do the senator have a good point? Absolutely. And a lot of you guys are experiencing this when you're even disputing negative items off of your credit report on how resistant that the credit bureaus and these scoring models can be. Now, one of the things is they are regulated under the FCRA, which is a government law that was put into place. But a lot of times, because there's so much money being made, and even with Fico, along with the credit bureaus, they're dominant, they are actually incentivized by keeping negative information on your credit report. They actually get paid more for negative information on your profile because banks only make money off of interest primarily and some annual fees. So the lower and more negative information on your credit profile, they can sell that data at a higher rate because the banks can justify actually charging you higher interest rates and lending you less. Now, with my elite credit system, users like Sean was able to go from a 612 credit score to all his credit scores over 770 in a matter of 6 months. And now he's at an 803 credit score and was able to get business credit. Now, if you need my help, my link for my elite credit system is in the description of the video and in the pinned comment section, because a lot of the times, if you don't know how to attack this stuff and this information, they will want to keep this on your credit reports because they make billions of dollars actually committing credit terrorism. But another big issue with the Trump administration is when it's coming down to mortgage scores going along with the federal government and the approvals that the FICO score and the credit bureaus are being really resistant with negative information on people's credit report. It really don't give you a lot of alternatives. And now even banks and lenders are really getting frustrated because in order to make money, they need to lend.
We have a news alert now on the credit bureaus.
Well, Scott, it was just a little under an hour ago that FHFA Director Bill Pulte posted on X that he was going to do a comprehensive review of the credit bureaus. And that, of course, sent the stocks of the bureaus like TransUnion, Equifax, Experian tanking.
Bill Pulte is one of the many in the Trump administration that's also calling out the credit bureaus. One of their complaints when it comes down to housing, mortgaging, and lending, what they have done recently approved, instead of having 3 credit bureau scores being pulled for approval for your mortgage, now they're allowing a Vantage 4.0. So it's easier for people to get approved for getting mortgages under FHA and other various programs, because the government's been seeing a lot of negative indications when you could not lend out money for mortgages, which is a fueler of our economy. This was even taking place under the Biden administration. So this is a real pain point to actually get our economy going. And so a lot of people were being denied for mortgages because of their FICO scores. And so now they're taking Vantage scores 4.0 and only using 2 scores instead of 3 scores to judge people for a mortgage.
I reached out to Bill Pulte, who, by the way, FHFA is housing. That's the Federal Housing Finance Authority. And he actually said after the post, in response to somebody else, that it wasn't just housing. He was looking at credit cards and car loans as well. But he told me, in following President Trump's executive orders to lower housing costs and consistent with the law, we are ensuring there is a truly competitive market with credit bureaus. This includes not just the price, but also we want to ensure that the bureaus are acting as true competitors of each other, which was interesting. Then he followed up and said, oh, one more thing. I'd encourage the companies to operate above board and not engage in any improper collusion as we seek to help the American consumer. That was a little bit more of a shot across the bow. We know he's been after the credit agencies because their prices have been higher.
Now, one of his biggest problems with the credit bureaus and FICO is saying that prices that they're charging for these reports, because they have capitalized on the market with the backing of the federal government, giving them their validity. And so now they're using Vantage scores to introduce in some competition. And now FICO doesn't have a monopoly on the market.
We talked a lot about FICO in the past. It's not really FICO. That's the credit score, and you can get that score for free. It's that credit score that goes into those credit reports that when you're looking to get a mortgage or a car loan, et cetera, you need to get your full credit report and your full credit, that to the mortgage lender. And that's where prices have gone up slightly, not incredibly, but they have gone up. So this is all, I guess, part of trying to lower prices, but it's probably going to take a little more than that.
So what is the real root cause of all of this? If you've seen recently, the job numbers for July came out, they were very low. Trump's been complaining about the Fed and the high interest rate. That is another problem. And also, when it comes down to the United States itself, its debt, because of the interest rates being so high, it is threatening the bond yield. So if the yield of the bond go up and these interest rates do not go down, you're going to see that the debt that's being paid out to those people who invested, many other countries buy a lot of our debt, like China, then they have to pay them more on the yield at a higher interest rate. And that, with the amount of debt that the United States actually own, will be very expensive, especially behind the cuts that was made for taxes in the big, beautiful bill. So they have to fund this. Now, one thing, knowing a lot of Republicans, they are pro-business. And one of the things that is a sticking point, businesses run off of debt. Your local Walmart is not paying cash for the stock there. They have lines of credit. And a lot of businesses, that's even how they start hiring. If the interest rates lower down, then they can borrow, sell to you, and then that debt is at a lower interest rate than what they are making in profit to sell. So to get the economy going, also with consumers to be able to buy, the interest rate and the ability to borrow, even for the everyday consumer, is what fuels the system. Because a business can sell all it wants, but if you can't afford to buy or to get a car, guess what? That business will soon go out of business if it can't make sales. So with credit reports, that actually plays a real heavy part in whether or not you can finance, and that's hurting big businesses. And so along with these high interest rates and people not being able to borrow, this is stopping new jobs from being created. This is stopping your spending. And you guys, as I tell you, always remember the US dollar that you talk about, this is nothing but a credit card. It's nothing but debt. And one of Trump's biggest problem is, as he said, China. Because China and Russia with BRICS, they are challenging the US dollar right here from being the world currency. And a lot of you guys don't realize all of these world currencies are printed out of thin air. But the reason why you have an advantage with this dollar is the good faith that most countries have in the US dollar, because the US have a lot of gold backed up in the deposits in Fort Knox. But now you see with China and Burkina Faso, even these places with gold working with Russia and China are stacking up on this gold. So with their BRICS currency, they can challenge the US currency. And the US always have the advantage of outporting its inflation. And so when they go to different places like Ghana to get gold, they give them this printed dollar for real value. And now they don't want that challenge, because it will be a problem for you too if the US dollar is not the dominant world currency. This is why I change out this US currency every month with real money, which is gold and silver. This American Silver Eagle, you guys, is a US dollar. It's real currency. But guess what? It takes about 40 of these to buy one of these, because this is real. It's real value, real gold, and they can't just print it. If you guys want silver and gold to stack up, I use Quicksilver. They just take it out of my account and switch it out for whatever that I have set to every month. If you want gold, the certain value they'll send to you, or silver, they'll send it to you too. And this is what I trade out some of my money. And you guys, a lot of y'all, how are we going to eat? Guess what? Now, states like Florida is opening up gold and silver depositories because gold and silver went up. That's what DeSantis said. Yeah, because it's God's money. This is real money. This cattle and land. That's where I'm rolling. That's where I stay. Cattle, land, all that stock, a little bit of that, but this is the real money. I know a lot of people with the crypto. I need to, when the lights go out, be able to barter with real money. Okay, because people will take this if times go out, but if the lights go out, a lot of this other stuff happen. Guess what? Chicken butt, you stuck. Okay, with this dollar. If they ain't taking the dollar is just a medium of exchange. It's not a store of value. And every time they do quantitative easing, they're robbing you of your time. That's the only thing you can't get back is your time. Okay, and the other way, they sell their debt. That's expanding the currency. And now you see China that's actually selling off a lot of debt. And we're in the middle of a war, trade war. War is going down, and proxy wars. And this is why we're funding places like Ukraine and all of this. And you guys don't understand what's going on. The war is over dominance. What is the golden rule? He that has the gold rule, and whoever got the power rule. So technology is another big war that they have going on, and the US must keep that dominance because they have different bases all out through the world. They need to keep the power. So hopefully this was informational and helpful. If you have questions or comments, leave it in the comment section. But if you have more detailed questions for me, you can go to my website and all your questions go directly to my cell phone. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned.